And we welcome you to the In The Circle Friendsgiving, second annual, courtesy of Victor Anderson, who's writing the show. Got a good special guest here. The man who's going. Is this your 10th season coming up at Alabama?
It is, yes, my 10th
Holy.
season. I know. It's
Only
crazy.
That's only seemed like yesterday we met. Like, what was it? It was like 7, 8 years.
Wow.
We might have to get into that. That's Tom Canterbury, the voice of Alabama softball, among other things. We'll get into that on this hour special. We're going to talk softball. We got wrestling and food, and no particular order. I don't know. That's our three.
Those are literally three of my favorite things. So I'm ready for all of this right now.
Beautiful. Make sure you follow us at In The Circle on the YouTube channel.
And the exact reason why we brought you on today.
That is correct. Well, let's begin with some softball talk. Schedules are starting to come out.
It's gonna be a wild show, folks.
Yeah. Tom's got his schedule out from Alabama already. I just got my schedule officially as we talk. So I'm still digesting that one as well. Pretty emphasis there. Clearwater came out this week. Let's start with the Clearwater ESPN tournament. You were there a year ago, Tom. What's your thoughts as these schedules leak out? Let's start with Clearwater, then we'll we'll work with our respective teams as far as their schedules, because one of our teams is going to be there, the other one's not, but that doesn't mean you're not short on scheduling.
Yeah, it looks like another just tremendous group of teams playing in Clearwater, as it always is. All the radio people that get a chance to broadcast from the scaffolding will have a great time watching, teams like Tennessee, Georgia, UCLA being involved there. And it's, it's great to see teams that are going to be preseason top 10 going to be there. And there's going to be some teams that are going to be using these type of games as those resume boosters at the end of the year. Could be possible bubble teams that could be using those as schedule boosters. Even if they don't win the game, they played the game. It's going to help their RPI and help their strength schedule.
Vic, your thoughts?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is how do they set up these schedules in terms of who plays who and the storylines. And we already got Minnesota people talking about Minnesota playing Stanford and Jessica Allister with that history. So I always find it fascinating, guys, to see those matchups that you can see these matchups in May and early June with super regionals and the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. The one thing I've noticed with the schedule is I don't know who Heather Tarr made mad in terms of the scheduling department, but Washington has 3 games that start prior to 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. So the Huskies got done no favors with that scheduling in Clearwater when they're going to be in Florida.
And guys, I wanted to mention too, take a look at the teams that Tennessee is playing in Clearwater. Tennessee a team that I think is going to be a pretty far and away favorite in the SEC, at least to start things off with everyone they have returning. They basically have everybody returning in that lineup, including Kiki Malloy, who's probably going to be the preseason player of the year. Everybody back except for Ashley Rogers. And the fact that they are going to have to play, taking a look at what they have, Stanford and Texas on their first day on Friday. And then they have UCLA as well on Saturday, as well as Georgia Tech and then Florida State. That's a pretty good gauntlet for Tennessee. You're going to see where they're going to be right off the bat there.
It's funny enough that you bring up Tennessee. Now, I forgot to mention, Tom, feel free, promote what you and Gray have coming up. It's what's become a tradition, which is the SEC Media Days, where you interview all the head coaches. Tell the audience when they can expect that on their favorite podcast devices, if you will.
Yeah, we have the 4th annual softball media days on the Out of the Box podcast, at Out of the Box _pod on Twitter. And the first 4 episodes is going to be dropping next week. And we talked to all the SEC coaches, as well as a mystery 14th team. Last year, we talked to Stephanie Van Brakel in her first year at Memphis. And this year, we're talking to Lacey Prejean at Northwestern State as we kind of explore the Patrick Murphy coaching tree that's out there. So definitely check that out. And we had an opportunity. We've almost finished recording all the interviews. We have a couple of coaches left, but those are scheduled and we're going to get those done. Talking to Karen Weekly was really interesting to see where she thought they're going to be. And, Tony Baldwin at Georgia, that there's a lot of really good teams that are part of this field and that will be fighting it out in what's going to be, I think, one of the most competitive SECs that we've seen in a really long time.
What are you two going to do next year when Oklahoma and Texas join in? There's up to 15 coaches.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to expand it to a 5-day situation at least. And also, these are not short interviews. We usually go between 20 to 40 minutes with these coaches. So you're probably going to have to break it up anyway. If you're going on a long trip, it'd be a great thing to be listening to as we break it down. But it's we're going to have to go 5 days, and we'll still have some mystery guests as well, as long as Vanderbilt refuses to have a program.
Oh man, that's good. Good line there. You mentioned Tennessee. They're going to be playing Clearwater. Then they're going to play Mary Nutter. Them and UCF are among the teams that are doing the double dip there, which is wow. But another team you mentioned Tennessee, you think is the heavy favorite. What's your thoughts on Georgia, who's going to be in Clearwater? They returned just about everybody from last year's team. I just recently spoke to Chelsea Wilkerson, who's the pitching coach, former Bulldog. We'll have that on In the Circle down the road. But I think Georgia should be in that conversation among the favorites. What's your thoughts, your early lean here in the SEC?
Yeah, I think Georgia's definitely another one of those teams that's at the top of the preseason list. As you mentioned, they return virtually everybody. And I think they're a team that, as long as they deal with the preseason hype, which I don't have a doubt that they're going to be able to do that, but as long as they're able to handle that, and I think they're going to be definitely a team that's going to be fighting it out for the championship.
Well, and they're going to play Oklahoma State, Florida State. That's part of their schedule there in Clearwater. LSU's another team coming over from the Clearwater with Beth Tarina and the Tigers. That's going to be an interesting deal there. They add Bryce Neal, the assistant coach over from Louisville. Lindsay Leftwich moving on as the head coach now at NC State. They add Kelly Lynch into the circle, but I think LSU is kind of in that they're trying to learn some things. And Kentucky, they got hit with injuries in the circle last year. We'll see what Rachel Lawson's Wildcats look like once we get to Clearwater. Those are, to me, some of the interesting storylines in Clearwater. Victor, you got an interesting team you're keeping an eye on in Clearwater. You're muted, Vic. He's muted himself. He's Tony Reality'd himself here. He always gives me a hard time on this, and he's muted himself there.
You're still muted.
There for me muting my microphone. It's nice to know I'm in mid-season form on these live streams. Before we get to the team I want to watch, gentlemen, the Kelly Lynch Invitational taking place on Saturday in Clearwater as LSU will take on her former 10. So I'm sure there'll be a few people that will be.
Oh, that's a good storyline. Yeah, that's a good one.
Team that I'm interested in. Yes. Now, Eric, you kind of mentioned UCF in their schedule in terms of the overall schedule being released today, but the ninth schedule is interesting to me because they have Northwestern, UCLA. They also play Kentucky and Wisconsin. Now, you look, of course, you got two teams that made the World Series. You have one team in Northwestern that made the World Series last year. UCLA still with that bad taste in their mouth of getting 0-2 at home. Wisconsin, who's a perennial tournament contender, and of course, you highlighted Kentucky. This is an opportunity for UCF in their inaugural year in the Big 12 with the talent that they have, led by Sarah Willis. Can UCF get those marquee wins with them being in the Big 12 to get them in position to potentially sneak in as a national seed and potentially host? Because, Eric, you of all people know this. UCF followed a similar formula 2021 They got to sneak in as the 16 seed. They host the regionals.
2022.
That atmosphere is 22. Excuse me. It's my ears confused. But again, it was an atmosphere that was something to behold, and they have certainly with the conference schedule, with the non-conference as well, they can bulk up some wins. They can find themselves on a similar path again in 2024.
Well, I can tell you this from a UCF standpoint, there might be one of the few schools, if not the only team in the country that could say they're playing the SEC champion, which is Tennessee. They're going to play them at Nutter a week later in California. Northwestern, you mentioned, they're playing them. They're the Big Ten champions. UCLA was the Pac-12 regular season champions. And, oh, by the way, they'll play the defending three-time national champion Oklahoma Sooners, or the Big 12 champions, later on in conference play. That's a yo. They're going to have plenty of at-bats to get marquee wins for UCF. That's going to be an interesting stretch when they do Clearwater to Nutter. Murph's never done the Clearwater Nutter back-to-back, has he, Tom, in your years?
No, we've done Clearwater. We haven't done Nutter. We usually we go to at least one big tournament somewhere, and then we host three. So there's or 2 to 3. So no, Mary Nutter hasn't been one we've gone to, but we have had, like, we went to Arizona and then Clearwater. We've done that one before.
I do remember that one. That was a lengthy trip for you guys.
Yeah,
you're hosting Arizona this year.
Yeah, they're coming in for the Bama Bash.
That's part of your highlight, your schedule. Obviously, you begin life without Montana Fouts. One of the interesting stories, Kayla Bro joins the staff. We had her on here, leaving the broadcasting side to join the coaching side. I don't know what you and Greg are going to do. You've booked her every year on your show. Now it's going to be like a little different of a role. But give me your thoughts on the Crimson Tide. I think there's going to be some mystery here because of Fouts and obviously, some of the graduations they've had. What do you expect here? You're going to open in Atlanta for an underrated tournament there with Georgia Tech and Villanova among their teams there.
Yeah, it should be an interesting start to the season. And I think Alabama's going to be a little bit under the radar to start off with. And I think that's perfectly fine. I'm happy that no one is really going to be talking about Alabama other than the fact that it's Alabama to start things off. I really think, obviously, if you don't have Montana Fouts, you don't say you're going to get better. But I think the pitching staff as a whole has a chance to be as good. Kind of the sum of the parts going to be a little bit better because you have Jayla Torrance, first of all, coming back, who I think was the story of regional rounds, if not super regional rounds. The fact that Montana Fouts suffered what for many people would have been a season-ending injury. Of course, she's back pitching 2 weeks later, but finishes, has that injury and does not pitch in regionals. And Alabama takes on a really hot Middle Tennessee State team and actually has to go to the if necessary game. And Jayla Torrance pitches Alabama into super regionals, and then Jayla and Montana tag team to knock off Northwestern to send Alabama to the Women's College World Series. So you have Jayla Torrance coming back for her senior year, along with Lauren Essman coming back and Alex Salter. And then you bring in, I think, a portal transfer person that many people aren't talking about, but they should be, and that's Kayla Beaver coming in from Central Arkansas for her 1 year remaining coming in. And I think if Alabama had to win a game tomorrow, I think she would probably be the starting pitcher in that ball game. But I would not be shocked if it was Jayla Torrance. Either one of those I think could do really well. And then you have Ailey Johnson coming over from LSU. So I think you have a really deep and different pitching staff where everybody is really good and they have really different weapons. And I think it's going to be a tough out for anyone taking on Alabama because of that depth in the pitching staff. And then you have so many returners in that offense as well. You have a set outfield, which is something Alabama hasn't had in a long time. I think you can pretty much mark down the starters in the outfield: Kristen White in center field, Larissa Pruitt in right field, and Jenna Johnson coming back for her 5th year using her COVID year in left field. Riley Valentine, I think, was a big pickup in the transfer portal as well, coming over from Texas A&M. Her and Marley Childs behind the plate. And then, Bailey Dowling will have an opportunity to have a huge senior year. Emma Broadfoot has been just absolutely killing it in fall ball. And then Callie Hevlin in the middle of that infield got the most improved player award, the only award that Alabama gives out in the fall. So I really think this Alabama team is going to be one, again, might not have the flash to start off with, and people might not be talking about them as much, but I really think they have a chance to be really, really good.
Obviously, you've gotten a chance to talk to Coach Murph. He'll be part of that SEC Media Days you and Gray will do. I spoke to Kayla Bro. When we had her on, when she got hired, she said she wanted to bring back some of the small ball with a slapping that made her obviously one of the greats of all time to wear that uniform. I feel that's going to be part of what she brings, even though she doesn't technically run the offense, but she'll still be involved in helping with the offense as well as coaching the offense. Do you see that? Maybe, I don't know if with this personnel that you guys maybe run a little bit more and not depend so much on the long ball and be a little more versatile, which is what she wants to eventually do?
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a team that's going to be able to do all different phases. And yeah, the fact that she's going to be able to get her hands on those outfielders that has went over Kristen White and Larissa Pruitt, I think can be in the mold of, they were in the mold of Kayla Bro to begin with. And for her to get her hands on them, she does run the outfield. So I think it's going to be really great to see. And then Adam Arbor coming in as the hitting coach now, and Patrick Murphy, and he's talked about this before. He talked about it in our interview as well, that he thought without having a person who was the designated hitting coach before, that he thought that there was just too many voices, and the players and others had said, we want just one voice and one way to go. And I think that's what we're going to see. And hopefully, it's something that Coach Murphy says a lot is that, sometimes the players get too many socks in the top drawer and they're thinking too much, and hopefully this will streamline everything and they'll be able to use a lot more of their instincts. And, the reason why they came to Alabama is because they were really great softball players to begin with. They know what they're doing, and, it will get them all going in the same way.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, Vic. And Victor, Kayla Beaver very well. You covered her during in the A-Sun at Central Arkansas. Oh, did he freeze on us? Oh, no, he's moving.
Well, I'm moving. I may have to adjust the setup personally, but I'll answer the question about Central Arkansas. I don't have any doubt in Jenny Parsons, her ability to coach. But when you lose a Johnson and a Beaver on your pitching staff, there's going to be a significant hit. However, I don't underestimate the fact they have a lot of great players returning back for Central Arkansas. I think the conference is going to be much more wide open. We saw it last year win the conference tournament where North Alabama, who Eric, you had a chance to interview with head coach Ashley Cozart, needed to win their final series of the regular season at Stetson, rode that momentum, and they were the team that needed to be knocked off twice to have Central Arkansas win the A-Sun tournament. Otherwise, the A-Sun would have been a multi-bid league. Now you look at 2024, Liberty, Jacksonville State out. Of course, we talked about Central Arkansas situation. The two teams that I'll talk about more in depth is North Florida with Jeff Conrad, what they've done in their his second year. Amber Pfizer joined on the staff as a pitching coach. So their pitching staff is really going to be super talented under her stewardship. And a lot of entries in the transfer portal. And Stetson with Shelly Cousins in her third year, significant improvements each of the first 2 years. They got a couple of transfers that can add some much needed power and high run production into that lineup. Those are the two teams that I think could have some chances to challenge Central Arkansas. And, of course, Florida Gulf Coast and North Alabama are going to be there as well, especially the Lions with that run they made and the rest of their team returning from 2024 as well. So it's going to be wide open in the A-Sun this year, and I'm sure whoever wins the A-Sun title, especially if it's from Alabama, will likely make their way to the Rose House come regionals in early May.
Well, we'll see. Now, Vic, go ahead and adjust your settings, how you're going to do it, because I don't want you to accuse Tom or me of cheating, because in 10 minutes we're going to have the big draft, the food draft, you and versus
I'm going to take
Tom.
a 30-second time out here, gentlemen, to I'm going to take a 30-second time out to refresh my settings. I shall return shortly.
All right, very good. So while Victor does that, because in about 10 minutes, Tom, you're going to do the draft, big food debate here with you and Victor. But one more thing about the to me Clearwater, and then we'll move on to you a little bit. Stanford, obviously the great run. They were the team that kind of pushed Oklahoma in Oklahoma City. You got Kennedy back. They're going to play. They're going to host Georgia, according to talking to Georgia. They're going to go up to Stanford and return that home and home. But Stanford's going to be showcased early on in Clearwater. What's fascinating, Tom, is this is going to be the last year of college, these conferences as we know it. Now, a year from now, we're going to be talking about Stanford and Cal in the ACC.
Yeah.
You got Washington, Oregon, UCLA going to the Big Ten. We've already touched on Oklahoma, Texas. So your thoughts on Stanford this year, going in with the high expectations? It would not surprise me if they're a top 2, top 4 team in the preseason polls.
Yeah, Najee Kennedy is, I think, if I had to pick a National Player of the Year preseason, it would probably be her. The way that she, just burst on the scene, and with her and Alana Vaughter together led Stanford through to make that run. Like you say, I think they were the team that would have had the best opportunity to try to knock off Oklahoma at some point, and gave them the most run for their money in Oklahoma City. And obviously they Stanford, the team that ended Alabama's year last year in OKC. So definitely aware of them. And Alana Vaughter going to South Carolina. I'm not upset that South Carolina is not on Alabama's schedule in the regular season this year.
I got her. UCF has her this year. They're coming here.
So I've seen about all I want to see of her. But I think Stanford, them and UCLA, the cream of the crop in the Pac-12, what is going to be the last year of the Pac-12 as we know it, along with Washington and Oregon obviously are very good as well. But it's going to be a heck of a kind of like what we're seeing in football. We're seeing probably one of the best Pac-12 seasons in recent memory in their swan song. May see the same thing in softball this year as well.
Right. Washington's going to be interesting with Ruby Malin. They'll be in Clearwater. In fact, they're going to go from Clearwater to play in Tampa in a tournament with Oklahoma State, which is going to be interesting. Oklahoma State, of course, without Kelly Maxwell, who's at Oklahoma. That's going to be another storyline. How does Oklahoma State look without Kelly Maxwell? And how does Kelly Maxwell look, obviously, with the Sooners? That's going to be another part of this season that we're going to be looking at early.
Yeah, the transfer portal and everything else that's gone on has created so many different storylines, and that's going to be another one. Obviously, Kelly Maxwell, how will she? I think she'll pitch well at Oklahoma, and she won't be, she won't have to be the main one, which maybe I guess that's what she was kind of looking for. I don't know. We talked about this when it happened on Out of the Box that I don't think anyone can go wherever they want. I don't think people should be. Should come down on somebody for making whatever choice that they make as far as where they go in the transfer portal. But that being said, I think that does, because there were so many places that Kelly Maxwell could have landed. The fact that she went to Oklahoma from Oklahoma State after you spent literally your entire career trying to beat Oklahoma, and then, well, we can't beat them, so we join them situation. It does make me, in a way, question the competitive fire maybe of Kelly Maxwell. It makes me kind of wonder, why would you go to the one place that you've been trying to beat for 4 years and couldn't do it on a consistent basis? But we'll see. I think if I was Oklahoma, I'd be ecstatic to have her, and I think she's going to do well.
Well, that's going to, of course, have drawn a lot of emotions in that Bedlam rivalry. Kenny Gajewski was outspoken about it. The fans have been outspoken about it, and they could play for the last time, at least as conference rivals, at the end of the season in Norman, or in the Big 12 there for Bedlam. That'll be one of many storylines there. All right, before we're going to about 5 minutes away from the big food draft right there. Let me ask you this, Tom. Let's talk about you a little bit. You're entering your 10th season as the voice of Alabama softball. Tell the audience how you ended up being the voice of Alabama softball and your journey.
Well, I've been I went to all the great learning institutions of the city of Tuscaloosa. I went to Central High School. I went to Shelton State Community College, and I went to UA for my undergrad. And while I was at UA doing undergrad, I did broadcasting. So actually, when Alabama softball was first on the radio, it wasn't part of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. The campus radio station did Alabama softball, and I produced a lot of those games for JP Shadrick, who's now he's one of the voices of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But So have always been involved with Alabama in some form or fashion. Went back to get my master's in sports management, and while I was there, talked with Tom Roberts, who is now retired, but he was kind of making the decisions on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and Chad Haney had moved on. He was the voice of Alabama softball before me. He had moved on to do some other things, and I saw that the job was available and hit up Tom, and I was actually the last hire for Tom Roberts before he retired on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And started off, it was just me, and then Gray joined me about 2.5, 3 years in, and we're going to be starting our 7th full season together this year. So it's been a great ride. We've had numerous opportunities to go to Oklahoma City. We've seen perfect games in OKC, perfect games elsewhere. Walk-off homers and super regionals. It's been a broadcaster's dream to have an opportunity to follow this program and broadcast all these games for you.
That's incredible. JP Shadrick, who I've known from covering Jaguar games, because he does a lot of national stuff now, but he's done Jaguar coverage and stuff. And then of course Chad Haney I've known as well. What's your favorite moment of your first 9 seasons? Do you have a favorite game, a favorite moment that just kind of typifies your so far this run?
Well, as far as in game, it would probably be a tie between Marissa Runyon hitting the home run that ended up being the game winner against Oklahoma in Super Regionals my first year in 2015, and then that would be tied with Montana Fouts' perfect game in the World Series against UCLA. And then probably my favorite, just as being a part of Bama U and a part of that group, was probably we had in 2019 had an opportunity to go to Hawaii and went to the Hawaii tournament out there, and just, we played Niagara and Hawaii and SIUE, I think were the teams that we played. But just the camaraderie and the opportunity to go to Hawaii. I've never been there before. I don't know if that's maybe the only time I'll ever get to go to Hawaii, but just that was the most fun week I've probably had in a long time. So those, as far as the group, the Hawaii trip, and then on the field, the World Series perfect game and Marissa Runyon's home run against Oklahoma.
It's pretty good. Although I'm bummed out you didn't mention the UCF trip as you're on your list there. I mean, come on.
Well, Neola's receiving votes.
The one story from the UCF trip was the first time I got left by the bus.
I've heard this story. Yeah. What? Yes, I did hear this.
Yeah. So it took about 5 minutes longer than we wanted it to do the post-game show. And Nate and I are leaving the press box, and there goes the bus. It's like, well, I guess we'll have to find our own way. But luckily, one of the players' parents was still there, and they gave us a ride back to the hotel.
Wow. Was this after the UCF game, or was this after another game?
It was after another game, but I think might have had a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth because of the UCF game.
Right, because that was a loaded field. It was UCF, Alabama, James Madison.
Yeah,
was in that field.
That was with who was the pitcher?
Megan Good.
Megan Good.
Yes. And Jaylen, I think was Ford. No, Ford was gone at that point. I think it was Megan Good at that point who took it over. They were in that tournament. Fordham was in that tournament. It was a loaded field. I remember that. That was a wild, fun tournament where everybody kind of beat everybody up. So yeah, they probably were not in a great mood there. That was a tough turn. The good news for you now, Tom, though, if you got left back, again at UCF, Vic's like 5 minutes away.
Oh yeah, right.
We would have had you covered.
People. I apprate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so he has carte blanche on my couch in the event that happens again.
How many? Give me an estimate number. How many softball parks have you been to? Would you say, give and take?
Oh wow, it's probably over 100 by now. I would think. Because you have 4 conference road trips, and then we do at least 1, if not 2, weekends in the non-conference, plus midweeks, going up to UAB or North Alabama. One of the cool things that Murph wants to do is he tries to play all the in-state teams as much as possible, even if it means going to a neutral site. We played UNA in Florence last year, but we did it at their big municipal park and not at their on-campus stadium. So there's probably over 4,000 at that one. You know, we Jacksonville State, like I said, UAB, Stanford. There, we try to play at as many of those places as possible. You know, do home and homes with UAB every year, those type of things.
We're 100. Wow.
I would think I probably should sit down and go through the schedules. And
I would love that. That would be fun. All right, how about this? Your favorite food place that you've done on the road through all these years. Favorite food place.
And again, a plug for the podcast, Out of the Box _pod. We do a segment called Tom's Hungry, where we review the places we've eaten on the road. There's the gold medalists that we've done on that podcast. We review it, and then we do a gold, silver, and bronze each year wherever we go. The reigning gold medalist is the Columbia in Tampa. We went there at Clearwater, so the Columbia won last year, and oh man, I know you guys have eaten at the Columbia.
Victor, you're reside in Clearwater.
Brother, between there and Vieira, I've never been to the Columbia. I'm going to have to take notes because I'm hopeful that I can visit Clearwater in a future time in the season. I will not divulge any further details, but the Columbia, got it.
Yeah, hit up the Columbia. The year before, the gold medalist was the Divine Cinnamon Roll Company in Columbia, South Carolina, and then Duke's in Honolulu, Hawaii was the inaugural one, but probably if I had to pick an overall champion, would have been the Last Resort in Athens, Georgia. Last Resort had just a tremendous steak, and the best thing about the Last Resort, order it as soon as you sit down because they run out the Oreo cheesecake.
Oh yeah, I can see that being running out.
Right.
All right, Victor, you've got an assignment now for the year. You've got to go to Columbia and give Tom a report if he's right, in his projections there.
I've already have a ton of things already on my to-do list for 2024. The Columbia has just been added to the top of that to-do list. So expect a full report if I go to Clearwater, Tom, to you via DM once I'm there. That's going to happen.
I guarantee you will not be disappointed.
Well, that is a good segue to our next move here, which is the draft. The moment of truth. Tom versus Vic. Now, Victor, tell the audience what the rules are to this draft.
So the rules of the draft that Tom and I've already exchanged my message with Tom. The rules of the draft are simple. Main entree. We're doing Southern style, meat in 3. Main entree, 3 sides, a bread, a dessert, and 2 wild cards. So those are the particulars. Eric, we will keep it fair. Since Tom is a guest, Tom will go first, and then Tom and I will alternate picks.
Right. I'll just referee. I'll just be like the referee.
Yeah, Eric, I need you to do 2 things. 1, referee, and 2, if you have a pen and paper nearby, I want you to track our picks, because what we're going to do after our draft is over, we're going to put out a poll for our fans and let the fans decide who has the more palatable plates that you'll want to have for Thanksgiving. Assuming that you have to deal with those neighbors and that nasty, the whatever dish that you don't want to eat. Trust me, I've seen some takes, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Yeah. All I know is you do not put raisins in potato salad.
No.
No, and we don't eat cranberry sauce, period, but certainly not out of the can.
All I will say is that, first of all, I agree with you in terms of the cranberry sauce. I used to be a connoisseur of the cranberry sauce in the can, but I'm like, little much for me. Also, full disclosure, if you put any green bean casserole near my general direction, I will slide it right back towards you. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I will not do it under any circumstances. No green bean casserole. And also, as Rich Eisen said earlier today, pumpkin pie trash.
Wow.
Hey, Rich Eisen said it. I'm just copying what he said. That notwithstanding, Gray, please. $1 again.
Yeah.
I'm giving myself dollars more than Matt Berry. Anyway,
I've got my notes and pen ready here.
All right, Tom, kick us off, sir, as our guest with the first pick of the draft.
All right. The question: do we go in that order that you said, or can we just pick anything?
Any order you so choose,
as long as we mark off those sections and those.
As long as we marked up those particulars, yes.
Okay, my first pick, and I think this pick will go as one of my 2 wild cards. And my first pick, because I put it on everything that I eat on the Thanksgiving plate, is the gravy, and the gravy will eat it a yellow cream of chicken gravy or a giblet gravy. Either one is fine, but you got to have the
of course.
Yes.
So
gravy.
Yes. Gravy goes number 1. Gravy is like the offensive lineman. If you don't have a good one, you're everything else is going to be ruined.
Right.
Plain and simple. So I wanted to take gravy with my second pick, but I will go with deep fried turkey. Now notice, deep fried turkey. Mm-hmm. You can have your regular turkey, but I had deep fried turkey. I had it once. I feel like I need to have it all the time going forward. But please, if you're doing deep fried turkey, please don't put the entire bird frozen inside the oil. That does not end well for anybody.
Right.
So deep fried turkey.
As long as you don't burn down the house, deep fried turkey.
Yes.
Yes.
You can burn out someone else's house.
Right. Yes. My second pick, it's going to be one of my sides. Deviled eggs.
Ooh.
Yes, deviled eggs and it's to the point, like my wife Jennifer right now is currently preparing the Thanksgiving meal for tomorrow. She's doing the day before preparing.
Yes.
And like she basically has to put up a big fence around the deviled eggs so I don't get them early. I will them quickly. So yes.
No early sampling from the household.
Not allowed. No, I have to wait till tomorrow. But deviled eggs, I will have several on my plate.
Bravo, sir. I will go with the side dish as well. I am going to go with baked mac and cheese. Baked mac and cheese, if it's done right, you're set. You may not need another side on your plate if you get a good baked mac and cheese, but I will go with baked mac and cheese.
I was hoping mac and cheese might be available.
Why baked? Why baked? As opposed to regular, for those that are wondering.
Well, for those who have to, there's something different about when you have all of those different cheeses. You put it in the oven for 375 or 100 degrees. You see that brown, crispy top at the front of it, and then just dig down. You hear that little, and then you dig that spoon down. For those of y'all who are watching and imagining that right now, you understand. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Having it out of the box is not the same. It's just not the same.
and the best thing about a Southern meal or Southern Thanksgiving is that mac and cheese does count as a vegetable.
Yes.
100%
Correct. Correct.
All right, we are entering the third round. How many rounds we have, by the way?
We're about 10 rounds because we got the meat 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. About 8 rounds, probably.
Yeah.
So this will be the third round. So so it's an 8-rounder or a 10-rounder? What do we got?
We'll figure it out as well.
All right, you guys let me know. Third round. Go ahead.
I think it's 8 from what we have.
Yes, it is 8. Yes. Like I said, meat, 3 entree, yeah, main dish, 3 sides, 2 wild card. Yeah. So Go ahead, Tom.
All right. My next pick is going to be, I think, again, a foundational piece, mashed potatoes. Yeah, that'll go. I mean, I've already got the gravy. You got to have the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
You can't have one. If you got Eric Lopez clapping, that tells you that you made a very good pick. You already got the gravy anyway, so you might as well go with the mashed potatoes.
Listen, that would have been my first round pick. I'm a big mashed potatoes guy. I'm a big mashed potatoes with butter on it too. I don't know if you guys tried that. Mm-hmm. That's my go-to. But
Jen Latta, not a fan of mashed potatoes.
Third round. I mean,
yeah.
Well, that's a solid pick. Solid pick in the third round.
Yeah, the potatoes fell a little bit, but that's a great value pick at this part in the draft, I do
It
believe.
is. It is.
And it can be instant potatoes. I'm not a snob, but if we can get the real stuff, I'm good with either one.
Hey, box, real, I don't care. Just give
Yes.
me it in copious amounts. Thank you very much.
Indeed.
I will go, again, sticking with the Southern staple. I feel you can't have mac and cheese without collard greens. So I will go with collard greens for my third round pick. It has to be, for me, it has to be collard greens with smoked turkey legs. You need to have that inside of the collard greens, low and slow, with the proper seasoning. Let it do its thing. You're good to go.
How do you feel about bacon in the collard greens?
I have no. Hey, yes, please. I am pals with the pig. I will say that much. I am pals with the pig.
Never going to turn away bacon. I'm with you on that.
Never, except turkey bacon.
Right? No, yeah, pork, please.
Yeah. And thank you.
Yes. Speaking of which, I feel as though I need to get the main dish. You already have turkey, which is fine. I'm going to go with just a good old fashioned ham. Ham steak or just ham. I've gone to places, a lot of places in my family, they do both the turkey and the ham, and I partake in both. But if someone said you can only have one, I would probably choose ham. So I'm going to go with the ham.
Me too. I'm a ham guy. Yeah, I hear you.
Really, Eric, you're a ham guy, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm with Tom on that. I'm more of a ham guy than a turkey guy. 100%.
I'm not anti-turkey, but if they said you can only have one, I would pick ham.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing was that you can turn somebody off of turkey with one experience, but you can't turn someone onto turkey with a good experience. Fully convinced of that.
That makes sense.
One bad turkey will put somebody on that ham train forever and a day. So,
sure.
And trust me, I don't mind. Hey, if you got ham, I'll eat that too. I'm cool.
All right.
I'm gonna go with
Eric. What do our plates look like right now?
So far, Tom, you've got gravy, deviled eggs with mashed potatoes and ham. Victor's got fried deep turkey, baked mac and cheese, and colored greens with turkey legs.
Collard greens. I'm gonna need. I don't think I think it might be early to go to dessert, so I'm gonna hold off on that because there are very lots of options with that. I want to complete my side dishes here. This might be a stretch. I'm gonna go cornbread dressing. Cornbread dressing. Now, if gravy was available, you put some gravy on top of the cornbread dressing, you're solid. But cornbread dressing, nice compliment.
I do like the dressing over stuffing. I know stuffing is more of a northern thing. I'm not a big stuffing guy, but I'm all about the dressing for sure.
All right. So we're halfway through, Tom. Round 5.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and go with dessert now. I know there's a lot of options, but I'm going to go with the good old fashioned apple pie.
Ooh.
Apple pie. You can put a little vanilla ice cream on it. Don't have to, but my mom actually makes the best apple pie, and it's heavy on the apple, heavy on the cinnamon. Cannot complain about it. And I don't like sweet potatoes, so sweet potato pie is not really an option for me. We'll go with the apple.
Well, you went with apple, so I will go with the dessert. I will get my dessert as well. So I will go with. So I would say pecan. I say pecan pie. I will go pecan pie. It just put a little nice whipped cream on it. Boom, you're good.
All right.
And give me like a whole pie for me, and bring 2 pies, one for me and one for everyone else.
That is done in my family as well. I feel the need to get a vegetable on the plate. And I actually agree with you, Victor. I'm not a big green bean casserole guy. Just don't really like it, but I do like green beans. So I'm just going to go to straight up regular green beans.
Okay.
Not in casserole form. I usually am a fan of any and all casseroles, but I'll go regular green beans, not in casserole form.
Let's see. I do have a wild card available. I might go. I'm gonna go with one of my. I'll go with one of my wild cards here, just to, because you need something a little. You need something proper with your Thanksgiving meal. You need something to. It's a little off the board, but I think it's something that some people like to have with their Thanksgiving. So I will say, and I want to specify it, cranberry sauce, not the cranberry jelly you get in the can with everyone lives and dies by. Cranberry sauce. You can use it for dipping with your deep fried turkey. If you want to put some of it on top of your cornbread dressing, you're good to go. Cranberry sauce.
All right. I need a bread. I need a roll. Sister Schubert's rolls.
Ooh.
Put the butter on it.
Wait, so which roll you got?
Sister Schubert's.
Sister Schubert's. That's how. Ooh. Oof. Bread. I'm gonna go. Well, I already got cornbread, so I don't need cornbread about my dressing. Give me a good old fashioned buttermilk biscuit.
Boy, how did that drop in
Good.
the 7th round?
So look, the fact that it's still on the board was like, I thought Tom was gonna take buttermilk biscuit. I was gonna have the bird to like a dinner roll, but like, oh, biscuits are there. Okay, buttermilk biscuit, nice, fresh, popping hot. Put some butter. Golden.
That's
You're
a good
golden.
pick. That's a
7th
pick.
round?
Yeah.
Yes. That is that would be the Brock Purdy of my fantasy food draft.
All right. So can you go over the plates what we got again, Eric?
Yes. So Tom has gravy in the first round. Victor took deep fried turkey. Tom took deviled eggs in the second round. Victor baked mac cheese. Tom took mashed potatoes in the third round. Victor got collard greens with preferably with turkey legs. Correct, Victor?
Correct.
Fourth round, Tom went hard with the ham. And big time there. Victor cornbread dressing in the fourth round. Fifth round, both go with dessert. Tom go with the apple pie tradition. Victor going pecan pie. Sixth round, Tom going the green beans, while Victor going cranberry sauce. And then the seventh round, Sister Schubert roll for Tom, while Victor going traditional buttermilk biscuit. Last round.
Let's see. Well, I think it might be 9 rounds. We've got a beverage, and then I have one more wild card left, right?
Yeah, I do have one more wild card as well. Yes.
2 rounds then.
All right, 2 rounds left. All right. I think you got to wash all this down with some sweet tea. Yes.
It will not be a Southern meal without sweet tea.
You know that the one indication that you are no longer in the South is when you go to eat somewhere and you ask for sweet tea and they say that there's sugar on the table. And say, well, yes, there is. But I wanted you to mix it up for me before you.
No, mix it up for me, please. Just now, if the sweet tea is not available, the second option for a Southern meal is Kool-Aid, and it's not the flavor, just the color. What color? Red, of course. So give me red Kool-Aid for my beverage of choice.
Is that just for Thanksgiving, or is that your normal Kool-Aid order?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So my final pick is going to be my wild card, and this is something you don't necessarily eat it with the meal, although it can be eaten with the meal. It's actually eaten before when you wake up. It's a tradition that we do in our family. We have a breakfast casserole in the morning. So I'm going to put breakfast casserole down as my second wild card that I spoon up a little bit of it and put it on a separate plate next to my plate. Add that in. It's usually a casserole with eggs, cheese, toast, some sausage, and some, I'm sure milk. I don't know how it's made because I'm not the cooker. You
don't ask questions, you just eat it.
Indeed, it's delicious, and I will have some.
Oh, my final wild card. I can go so many different options here. I will go with, and this is probably just my individual preference because I love dessert. So what's better than having one dessert than having a second dessert? So I will go with a peach cobbler for my second wild card. Just like the pecan pie, put some whipped cream on top of it. Heck, if it's good enough and it's sweet enough, just some cinnamon sugar, boom, you're good.
Nice.
So we have completed our fantasy food draft. Eric will submit to me the rosters, and we will put them up available for voting. You have an entire week, ladies and gentlemen, to vote which dish you would enjoy the most. Now, you'll enjoy both dishes, but which one would you prefer? Would you prefer mine, or would you prefer our good friend Tom Canterbury's? Tom, we appreciate you joining us, sir. Once again, remind the people where they can follow you and your partner and your SEC Media Days coming up in the next week.
Yes, you can follow us at @outofthebox_pod on Twitter, myself and Gray Robertson, friend of the podcast here, and my broadcast partner with Alabama, as well as on Out of the Box. And yeah, we'll be again interviewing all the SEC coaches, as well as our mystery 14th guest, which is Lacey Prejean from Northwestern State in her first year with the Lady Demons. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be 4 episodes, and the first episode will drop next week. If you're traveling somewhere for Thanksgiving or Christmas, yeah, that would be a great thing. Download and binge those because they are not short interviews. So it's going to be a lot of us, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
You got real quick before we let you go, Iron Bowl, obviously football. I'm going to be watching that.
Yes.
Survivor Series at night. Going up against college football rivalry games. Not sure I'm a big fan of that, but nonetheless, that's the way they've decided to do it now with the PLE's Saturday nights here. Quick prediction. Give me your thoughts. Randy Orton's the 5th guy there. Do you expect any surprises? What are you looking forward to?
I thought it was interesting that they went ahead and spoiled that it was going to be Randy Orton coming back a week early. I think they did that so there would not be confusion on a possibility of CM Punk showing up.
Correct.
I think it would be if I was the WWE. I know it's in Chicago. I know all this stuff. I would not touch CM Punk with a 10-foot pole.
I don't think they are. I think that's why they spoiled the Orton thing. Otherwise, that would have been a surprise at the show. But I think you're right. They didn't want people thinking it was going to be Punk, and then it's Orton, and there's like, oh, there's a disappointment. I agree with you. I think that's otherwise they wouldn't have spoiled the Orton thing.
Yeah, I think when you have the history of CM Punk, the good does not outweigh all the drama and the bad that he's going to bring in. I don't think he's going to sell anything extra for the WWE. Like, if he had been able to, work with people in AEW, he could have been so good for AEW. I don't think he's going to do this. He would do the same thing in WWE. So now that being said, he might still show up as Shinsuke's mystery opponent. It's a possibility. But I would be surprised if CM Punk shows up. But that being said, I'm very interested in both War Games matches this year, both the men and the women's matches. I'm not 100% sure where they're going as far as are they going to go all the way with the heel turn for Drew McIntyre. I don't think he needs to join Judgment Day, but I could see him being a loner heel. But I think the question is, Randy Orton, is he all in with Cody's team, or does he
turn on Cody?
Yeah, does the RKO get turned around on his former Legacy teammate or some other people? Because don't forget, it was the Usos that knocked him out, and now he's teaming with Jay.
Right. Well, that's the interesting thing is, do they keep him as a babyface and then just have him feud with like maybe Roman? Maybe we get that kind of match that they wanted to do, maybe at the Rumble or something, or do they just turn him heel right away and turn on a Jey Uso or Cody Rhodes? I mean, those are your options.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways they can go with it. It's going to be very interesting to see.
And also, Tom, I don't mean to interrupt. Remember, Damian Priest also has money in the bank, and there's this theory that floated around that Rollins' team wins War Games, and then Priest cashes in. Okay, I got one. Team Rollins wins. Orton turns on Rollins, hits him with the RKO. Damian Priest cashes in, becomes world heavyweight champion.
Could see that. Definitely could see that. I think a lot of it still obviously has to deal with what is going to be the WrestleMania final decision. And I still think if somehow Rock is available, they'll do Roman and Rock. But if he's not available, It's, Cody finishing the story, but how do we get there without it, being just, ultimately predictable to get there? So there's still, and you still have Royal Rumble, which is, it's still the biggest wild card.
In St. Pete, baby. I'm going to try to go.
Oh, I wish I could. That would be awesome. I've been to at least one of all the big four, and Royal Rumble was one of my favorites for sure.
I was there when AJ Styles debuted.
Yes,
nice.
we were.
I saw AJ Styles in the ROH show the Friday before he debuted. Okay, here, quick AJ Styles story for me as far as okay. So I saw AJ Styles. I went to an ROH show in Atlanta before the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia that year, and he wasn't on the show, but the Bullet Club was on the show. So Gallows and Anderson and the Young Bucks were on the show, and they kind of did a send-off for AJ Styles that night. Of course, we didn't know where he was going, but we thought it'd be awesome, and then he shows up at Royal Rumble. The SmackDown, either the week or the week after, was in Birmingham, and AJ was there, but he didn't wrestle. He was the guest on Chris Jericho's talk show. So I saw, and then there was the next time SmackDown came, AJ and Daniel Bryan had a fight up on the concourse, but AJ didn't wrestle. So I saw AJ Styles in person 3 different times and never saw him wrestle. So there was like a running joke. How many times am I going to see AJ before he actually wrestles? Then I finally saw him get to wrestle at a house show, but it was like, again, it was a running joke, and almost to the point of like, maybe I don't want to see him. Maybe I want to keep this streak going where I only see I'm in the same building with him, but he never actually wrestles. That would have been fun. But he's one of my favorites, and I'm glad I got to see him.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
that is pretty funny. Bailey's going to get turned on, right? Like, that's an obvious one.
I would think eventually, although I don't know if it necessarily happens Saturday. But that I heard a great thought that maybe they do a lot of like the Mean Girl type stuff where they're making like text groups without her in it, and like they're doing all these things, and she's just getting kind of pushed out, but not like the normal wrestling. All of them just turn on them. They're just kind of being mean girls on them. I think they could do that. But Damage Control is really rolling right now. They went from being kind of an afterthought to kind of like what Judgment Day did a year or so ago. They were kind of floundering, and then Mommy got on top and took them to the top, and now we're seeing what's going to happen with Damage Control in the same way.
I agree. I could also see Priest being turned on by Judgment Day, by the way. Ooh. Like he's about to cash in, and then they screw him with McIntyre or without him. Either way,
right? Because I could see them still being mad about him saying that he was the leader, because they're not supposed to have leaders.
Correct. Mm-hmm. There you go. See, you picked up on that. All right. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure we'll reminisce. We'll catch up the next time we have you on.
But you mentioned Iron Bowl. Alabama's going to win, but I'm not looking forward to the game. I'm going to hate every second of that game because it's at Auburn and crazy things happen at Auburn. I'm actually I'm more worried now that they lost to New Mexico State last week than I would have been had they won. But again, Alabama's going to win, but it's going to be I'm not going to like it.
Things get weird when Bama plays at Jordan Hare.
Can you beat Georgia? Do you think you can beat Georgia?
Yes, I think they can. Gonna have to play real well. But the team that has shown up the last few weeks, I think can beat them. As long as they don't revert back to what was happening in September, I think the Crimson Tide can win that one. It's the 10th anniversary of the Kick Six, so I just know crazy stuff's going to happen at
no!
I just want to get past it.
Oh, and it's going to be on CBS too. You know they're going to air that like
Eric, do you want to tell Tom the other fact that's going on Saturday that might be the piece de resistance?
Oh, Victor's going to be broadcasting. You know what that means? A lot of blank happens when he works, so chaos.
Which game are you doing?
I'm working at a tournament in Daytona Beach for Flow Sports all day long. So
women's basketball.
So from 11 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, all the carnage that happens that you can fully blame on myself.
Just yell, just go tweet at him if things don't go well for you. Tom.
Yes, exactly.
Including Survivor Series, including the Survivor Series.
Got it.
Yes.
All right, sir. Go enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming on, and we'll definitely come. We'll check back during the season once the season gets going.
Thank you so much, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your all's family.
Thank you, Tom. Happy Thanksgiving.
And here he is, the voice of Alabama softball, Tom Canterbury, joining us here on this special edition of Friendsgiving. And that's going to be it, Vic. That was the draft. We had the draft.
Yep.
We talked a little softball. Pretty good hour. Pretty much done. Now we just got to
very nice hour, nice and tidy. Now everybody can go back to hang out with your families because I know you had to sneak away to watch our live stream. By the way, we'll be back to our regular podcast schedule coming back on Monday. We will tell you about our guests coming up this weekend, but we have an awesome episode already out with Amanda Chitester from Michigan and Whitney Jones from Ohio State. You can listen to that on your favorite podcasting platform. That way, you listen to us while you're traveling up and down the roads for Thanksgiving, while you're visiting your in-laws, or you're on your fourth plate of turkey and dressing and green bean casserole or whatever you're consuming. So we appreciate all of you for watching our live stream this year, watching our draft. We're thankful for each and every one of you supporting our podcast. We don't do this without you. By the way, congratulations, Eric, to you becoming the newest member of the Dugout Digest family. You'll be doing some stuff for them. And, of course, the King bracketologist will be working over with Dugout Digest starting in 2024. So looking out for some good things with that. Well, we're done yapping, folks. And now, Eric, we did the draft. We talked softball. We talked food. There's one other thing that we need to do on this live stream. You know what that is, right?
Go for it.
The official Thanksgiving theme song. Thank you, DJ Sway, the remix guy. Thank you for watching us. For Eric Lopez, for Tom Canterbury, I'm Victor Anderson. Happy Thanksgiving. We're thankful for every one of you. Top Podcast is out. Good night, Canada. See y'all Monday.